This is a tutorial about Emacs, GNU Emacs in multiple parts, and we're going to start with the overview, installation, how to open, move around in Emacs, and we'll finish with this whole sequence with build, creating an org mode file and using it to establish and run code chunks. Now, the source for this file is in the org directory, in the org repo in GitHub, in Emacs, and here you find both a PDF, you find a tutor org version of this very same tutorial that you see here on the right-hand side. I will, however, use the org mode version itself. So here on the right-hand side, you see Emacs, and let's start by giving a short idea about what this is about. So it's really just to guide you through your first steps with this editor, the new Emacs editor. And if possible, you should take time to complete the onboard tutorial. You can always get to the onboard tutorial by typing Ctrl-H and T. And I just type Ctrl-H. If you look at the bottom of the screen, down here, you see that I type CH. I'm going to abort this command since I made a mistake. So I'm going to type CG, Ctrl-G, and type again Ctrl-H. That's one command, and then T, and that brings me straight into the tutorial. Now, as you can also see at the bottom, I'm asked, do you want to resume your last saved tutorial? Since the tutorial is quite a long document, about 18 pages or so, I'm going to say no, just get to the top of the tutorial. But if you work on it, you should just say yes, and then you go back exactly to the position where you last edited, because it's going to take you about an hour or so. So I'm going to say no, and this is the top of the tutorial. The idea of this tutorial is that you work through at your own pace, and as you can see, this is quite substantial. But I'll teach you everything about how to get through Emacs. So I'm going to change back to my page. I'm going to do this with Ctrl-X. You can see it at the bottom of the screen. And B, which goes to the last buffer I opened. I'm asked, do you want to switch to this buffer, tutor.org? And yes, I do. I'm going to close this headline. This, by the way, is an org file. So you can see I can open and close the different headings. I'm going to go see a little bit about the installation. And the values for the path, so for the search path that the computer that you're working on uses in order to find the program, assumes that you work on a PC in the Lion Building 104. So the specific values of this path, I'm going to point that out when that's the case, may change on your personal computer. However, it would be much better if you get Emacs for your own PC, that you have all the necessary privileges. There is also in GitHub a installation guide. I'm just going to open this here for a bunch of different programs to install. But here you see Emacs. The installation is built like a checklist. So you get the installer from here for Windows. I'm just going to open this here in a new tab. So you can click on Download Installer here. At the bottom of this file, there's also a Emacs modified for Mac OS. If you want that, same thing, download installer, run the installer, accept all the standard settings. And what you then have to do is, if you want to be able to do what I'm doing here, you have to modify the path variable. And I'm just going to show quickly how this works in Windows. So I've just clicked here on the search bar in Windows down here, and I'm going to search for path. And I'm offered edit the system environment variables. I'm going to go there. Here you see my environment variables. You click on this menu, and here you have the path. This line is the path. And if you click edit, you can edit the different path locations. And what I did is I added the location to Emacs. You see it here in this line. So I added this by clicking on new, and I'm just going to do this again for the purpose of showing it to you. So I have just opened the File Explorer. This is the File Explorer, and I'm going to my Windows system. In the Windows system, I have a directory called Program Files, and I look for Emacs. This is Emacs here. It may have a different name in your case, and you double click it, and here you can uninstall it if you hate it. You double click here again, and then there's a directory called bin, and you click on that, double click on that again, and here you see all the executable files, including Emacs. Now what you need to do is go to the navigation bar at the top, right click, copy the address as text, then you can close this window, and then type new here and enter this path here. And if you now OK here and OK here and OK the last of the menus, then Emacs will be able to be found, as I'm going to demonstrate in a moment. Now I'm going to cancel this because I already have it and go out of this. And if you go and open the terminal in Windows or in Mac OS, you do that with CMD. And it's a good idea if you do it for the first time to pin it to the taskbar, which is what I've done here at the bottom. So I've pinned it to the taskbar. I'm going to open the terminal. This is the window that appears. And I now can find Emacs without going through the entire path. I can just type Emacs and this will open Emacs. Now, I think this is another video, but since it's only the beginning here, open Emacs, I'm just going to add this here in this video. So what I just did here was show you how to open in the Windows search bar, the command, the terminal. And in the terminal, what you do is you enter this command if you don't have the path set. So this is the path to my Emacs. Or you can just open use this command here, which you see here, Emacs -nw. And what this does, I'm just doing this here on the left-hand side, -nw means no window. This will open an Emacs in your terminal. Now the colors here are nasty because of the particular layout theme that I have chosen. I'm going to just switch this off so you can see that actually I am in regular Emacs. Here you see I am in Emacs. What I can do here is change the font. So this is a real terminal window Emacs that I have opened here. And just to show you the start page again. Start page, no graphics. Yeah. So I'm going to go out of this by Control-X, Control-C. It's a command I'm going to repeat later on, which is a way to shut down the Emacs. And what I'm going to do now is what you could do as well if you don't have a shortcut for Emacs on the desktop. Namely, I type Emacs, and I'm going to add -Q, which means don't load the initial init file, the configuration file at the beginning. So Emacs would just open Emacs. Emacs -Q means bypass the init file. I'm going to do that. And what happens in my other window, I'm going to move this over here, is that I get the pristine Emacs, vanilla Emacs without configuration file. So this is exactly what you should see here if you open Emacs. And that's what I say here in the script as well. This is the screen, the startup screen, and you can always get back to the startup screen by clicking Control-H, Control-A. Here's the command. You see it on the right-hand side. So let's say I'm going to go to another screen. And if you now observe the bottom of this window here, the echo area in this window, what I'm going to type is Control-H. You see Control-H and then Control-A, and this brings me straight back to this window. This one, however, I can change the font. How to do that, I'm going to show you right away. So if you press Control-X and then Control=, which you unfortunately don't see in the Emacs buffer, you can use plus, minus, and 0 to change the font. So I'm going to make this bigger, actually not quite that big. And now you can see that. Unfortunately, the mini buffer itself, the area down here, mini buffer window, is not enlarged. So the only thing that's enlarged is the center of the buffer. And I think that's enough for the first video. I've shown a bunch of stuff. I've shown you the installation. I actually have opened Emacs in a bunch of different ways. And I have shown you how to shut it. I'm going to do that again in a moment.